So if you're somebody that is looking to, in the near future, go off of Mounjaro or currently going off of Mounjaro and wondering what it's like for somebody who's already in the post-Mounjaro phase, then this video will be for you. Some of the things that I have noticed on my journey is this. As I've moved into the post-Mounjaro, in the early phases of stopping Mounjaro, I had that little weight gain that you hear some people talk about. But what I realized was this: it wasn't a true weight gain for me because the weight came on pretty quick. It was more of like a fluid retention. And I think that in part correlated with some of the workouts that I was doing and maybe the creatine that I was taking. So in fairness to the post-Mounjaro days, that may or may not be a factor for you, but it was for me. Because you may have heard other people talking about is their blood pressure dropped and they're no longer needing to take blood pressure medication. That was the story for me. But about the 3rd to 4th week after I was stopped taking Mounjaro, one thing that I noticed is I started getting these headaches. I'm like, why am I getting these headaches? And then it began to ring a bell with me that, hey, that was the same feeling that I had when my blood pressure was high. So I started taking my blood pressure, and what do you know? 150s, 160s. Bottom number was 90s. And that had not been the case in a long time. I mean, on Mounjaro, I was seeing measurements of 100 to maybe a high side of 110, with the bottom side, in 60s, 70s. That would be the higher number that I would get. But it was completely a change. Now, what I began to do was I had to start taking my medication. I first went back to a half a pill, wasn't hitting it. Then I went back to a full pill. I didn't completely take care of it, so I actually took one of the second pill that I had previously been taking. And then my blood pressure began to stabilize. Now, what I think that happened is whenever I had the initial weight gain, like I said, it was fluid, could have been fluid retention, and it directly tied to my blood pressure because as my fluid began to leave, my blood pressure also began to come down. This directly related to Mounjaro and some implications there. It sure seemed to be directly connected. Because in addition to that, I developed a feeling of fatigue. If you remember that feeling that you get when you first started Mounjaro, that you might be like, man, how am I going to go? I know whenever I first started the first week, I was like, how am I going to make it through the day? Well, a few weeks after I stopped taking Mounjaro, that was actually going into the 2nd month, I just started getting these feelings that I felt, and I honestly looked pretty tired. I mean, I still work out and I still walk and I still do everything and I still eat with the healthier diet. What I will tell you about that though, when it comes to diet, it is way easier, even though the hunger's not there. Whenever you have that Mounjaro feeling and it's like, nah, that dessert, I don't want it. But you might see something that's there now and it's like, oh, well, hey, it's only 1 scoop of ice cream or it's only 1 Oreo. Well, those things are easier to eat. It's not that you're going to say yes to it, but I will tell you that they are easier to eat post-Mounjaro. What was my weight whenever I stopped taking Mounjaro? 220. What is my weight today? It is 206. There's definitely hope, and you can have success post-Mounjaro. I've continued to lose weight without it, and you continue to work hard and try to keep the focus. You can as well. So have a great day, and God bless.